Hello, Harrison, Kleber, and I will be giving a presentation today on taste perception for professional chefs. Kleber will be serving a lunch meal, Harrison will be serving a dinner meal, and I will be serving a dinner meal as well. Kleber?
Today I'll be trying some pollo a la brasa with some yellow rice and fries, so here we go. Okay. 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 Alright. Overall, chefs, that rice, a little too bland. You need to add some little spice. Because it just went down my mouth. It just went down my mouth. No, didn't leave nothing in my tongue, like no flavor, no nothing, no saltiness. Not even saltiness, So it's just a little bland, so you need to work on that. The fries were good. They weren't too salty, so they didn't leave that weird mark of too salty. But also, the texture is good. I mean, chefs should always look at that, the texture of food. Because if it was too crunchy, I would be like, I don't really like that crunchiness. But it was not too soft and not too crunchy, so that's good. Overall, the chicken was really good. When my dad walked into that door, I knew it was going to be good because of the smell. That smell, it gave out the odor, and when I tasted it, same, so good. The spices, the texture, everything was perfect. Because when it went down my throat, I tasted every single thing, so good. So overall, this meal was delicious, except for the rice.
Good evening, chefs. In order to be a strong chef, you must first understand how taste works. The signal begins when the particles of food you're eating are sensed by the receptor proteins found in our taste buds. The receptor proteins are then able to differentiate the various types of food we're eating, sending a current to the nervous system. Then, the nervous system sends impulses to the brain. Our taste buds can taste the 5 different sensations: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. So tonight what we'll be eating is some sweet and sour chicken and soy sauce. And right here, I have my soy sauce with me. And so for the first bite, let's see. So, right away, when I bite into the chicken, I'm able to tell that it's sweet. But this is where smell comes into play. I know that it's sweet, but my taste buds don't necessarily allow me to know exactly what flavor is in it. And I'll explain why. So smell comes into play because when we chew, odor molecules reach the back of our nostrils. This allows us to better determine the flavor of food because odorants stimulate receptor proteins, which begin a neural response. So when I'm chewing this sweet and sour sauce, I taste the sweetness, but I can also smell the honey in it, and I can smell the orange, and that's where I'm getting that flavor from. And on the other hand, I'll take a bite of the rice first without the soy sauce on it. So the rice alone, it's very plain, it's very bland. That's why people often use things such as soy sauce, which is known for being more salty to give it some flavor. When I add the soy sauce, the entire flavor of the rice immediately changes. It's a lot more salty, and it's hitting my taste buds right away. Whereas with the rice, I'm not getting a ton of reactions. Maybe it's because the ingredients don't have as many stimulants. Whatever the case is, I'm not getting a ton of flavor in the plain rice. This is why you gotta transition to flavoring your food. Finally, as an important tip for chefs, something you must remember is when you have a group of people you're serving who may be super tasters. These are people that, upon doing some research, I found have significantly more taste buds, which mean particularly they're able to taste more bitter foods. So when cooking for a super taster, since they taste the bitterness much more, you want to go light on something such as coffee or melon or cranberries, because their receptors are going to pick it up a lot more aggressively in smaller quantities than someone who's not a super taster. Thank you.
Hey guys, tonight for dinner we have chicken masala with rice and vegetables. So we're going to start off with the chicken and the taste test. So as soon as that hit my taste buds, I noticed the spicy flavor that came with the masala. So I think that for professional chefs, obviously you can have chicken in your dish, but I would certainly recommend having that spice or something to complement the chicken itself. Start with the rice. So with the rice, it's really a toss-up because rice itself is pretty bland if you don't add any flavor to it. So for this kind of rice with no butter or any kind of like sauce to complement it, I do believe that it's not really complement. We're not really helping the dish as a whole. So let's continue with the vegetables. The peas are a little bitter. I'm not gonna lie, the peas are pretty bitter. So as we move from that, when you cook your peas, you wanna make sure that they're cooked thoroughly. You don't wanna make sure that they're not really super duper raw, because then the texture's not gonna be great. It's gonna be really solid texture and it's gonna be really bitter. So I would certainly recommend for professional chefs cooking your peas all the way through, as well as your cauliflower, and giving it that kind of flavor with the sauce as well. So overall, this meal is pretty good. I would just recommend certainly adding flavor to your parts of your dish.
Now that you've seen us all taste our meals, you can clearly tell that not only does the spice, sweetness, bitterness, etc. of a meal affect how we're going to taste it, but also like the odor and the smell that it puts out, because that smell gets stored into our memories and it gives us the idea of how this meal is going to taste. Or once we eat it in the future, you're going to be like, oh, I tasted this once and it's not going to taste good. Oh, I've tasted this before and I know it's good, you know? So, and if we were to lose that smell, technically, we will also lose our taste, like we mentioned in class. So what I would say to a chef is not to only worry about how much salt, if it's too salty, but also to worry about the texture. Like I mentioned, for my fries, I love the texture. And sometimes when it's too crunchy, I'm just like, no. But also they should also focus on the odor and smell it puts out, because that odor is always going to get stored into someone's memory. And so if that odor is good, then you're going to know, though, the people that are going to eat your food, they're going to be like, okay, that food is good, and I'm going to keep on eating it. So I feel like a chef should worry about the smell, spice, texture of their meal. So thank you for watching.